Captain Admiral sat in his small, dimly lit cabin aboard the starship Resolute. Outside the window, the stars moved slowly as the ship sailed through the quiet emptiness of space. The silence was comforting after many long months of patrol and skirmishes on the border of human space. But today, something was different. Today, a message had arrived that no one expected. The communication console beeped softly. Admiral pressed a button and the holographic screen flickered to life. The emblem of the Galactic Council appeared, a shining star surrounded by symbols of many different alien races. The message was from the Council itself. To Captain Admiral of the United Earth Federation, the voice said. It was calm and polite, but there was power behind it. The Galactic Council offers peace to your people. After decades of conflict, we wish to invite humanity into our alliance. A formal treaty awaits your review and acceptance. Representatives are requested to attend a meeting at the Council's main headquarters. Admiral's eyes narrowed. The Galactic Council was the strongest political power in the galaxy. They had ruled over countless species for hundreds of years. And until now, humans and the Council had been at odds, sometimes in small fights, sometimes in cold standoff. Peace was good news, but why now? And what did they want in return? He stood up and paced the cabin slowly. Peace, he muttered, or maybe a trap. Across the ship, his crew were busy. Some were celebrating quietly. After all, war was tiring and costly. Others were tense, watching the sensors and making sure no one was spying. Admiral called his senior officers to the bridge. Listen carefully, he said, voice steady but firm. We have an offer from the Galactic Council. Peace. They want us to join them. We will go to their headquarters and hear what they have to say, but remember, this is not a gift. There is always a price. Lieutenant Mira, the ship's communications expert, frowned. Captain, their message is very clear and official. This could be a chance for humanity to grow, to get technology and help. Admiral nodded. It could be. But I've seen their words before. Promises often hide rules that take away freedom. We must be careful. The crew prepared the ship for travel. The Resolute was a strong starship, with a crew loyal and brave. Admiral trusted them all, but he knew the Council's power was greater than any single ship. The trip to the Galactic Council's headquarters was long. The Council's homeworld was deep inside the galaxy, surrounded by many stars and planets. When the Resolute entered the system, the ship was surrounded by massive starships of many different alien species. They all looked peaceful, but Admiral knew that appearances could be false. On the bridge, Admiral watched the Council ships carefully. Keep the shields ready, he ordered. We don't know their true plan yet. As they approached the Council's huge space station, the Grand Hall opened its gates. The Resolute slowly moved inside. The station was enormous, shining with bright lights and strange architecture that looked like crystals and metal mixed together. Aliens of many kinds moved through the corridors, some tall and thin, others short and round, some with many eyes or wings. The diversity was amazing, but the atmosphere was tense. Admiral led his team to the Council chamber. The room was large and circular, with seats for many species. At the center sat the Council leaders, wise and powerful figures who looked at humans with curiosity and suspicion. The Council's chief spokesperson, a tall alien named Varen, greeted Admiral. Captain of Earth, we welcome you. The galaxy has long watched your people grow. We believe peace now is possible and beneficial for all. Our offer includes sharing advanced technology, trade opportunities, and protection under the Council's laws. The other delegates nodded in agreement. Many humans on the Resolute smiled. Maybe this was the moment for a new beginning. But Admiral stayed silent, watching closely. Something in Varen's tone was not quite right. It was polite but distant. Too controlled. After the meeting, Admiral and his crew returned to their ship. The official treaty document was delivered. It looked long and complex, filled with legal language. Admiral spent hours reading it with his chief advisor, Commander Rowe. The document promised peace, but also listed many rules about where humans could settle, how their military would be limited, and requirements to share information with the Council. Rowe looked up. Captain, if we sign this, we lose a lot of our freedom. Admiral nodded slowly. Yes. It's not peace. It's control. He knew that humans had fought hard to survive and grow in space. Now the Council wanted to hold them back, to keep them under their thumb. The crew gathered in the mess hall later that day. Admiral stood before them. Friends, we have an offer of peace from the Galactic Council, but it comes with strings attached. We must decide carefully what to do next. Our future is at stake. Some crew members whispered nervously. Others were hopeful. Admiral looked around the room. We will not be slaves to peace. We will read the fine print and fight for our freedom. The night passed quietly on the Resolute, but in Admiral's mind, a storm was growing. The peace offered by the Galactic Council was not what it seemed. The real challenge was only beginning. Captain Admiral stood at the entrance of the Galactic Council's Grand Hall. The vast room stretched far beyond what his eyes could see. Strange lights floated gently in the air, casting soft shadows on the walls made of shining crystal. Alien. Voices echoed softly in many languages. Some he could not even begin to understand. Around him, many species moved calmly, dressed in clothes and armor, unlike anything he had seen before. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, but others had 4 or more legs or wings or even no legs at all. Admiral felt a mix of awe and caution. This place was the center of power for countless civilizations. Every corner seemed alive with mystery. The Galactic Council had invited representatives from many worlds to join the meeting. The air was thick with tension. Everyone knew that the offer of peace was important, but no one fully trusted it. Admiral's crew gathered close. Lieutenant Mira whispered, "It's amazing to see so many species together. Maybe peace is really possible." Admiral looked around, but his eyes kept returning to the council leaders at the center of the hall. They sat on a raised platform, faces calm and serious. The tallest of them, Varen, was the chief spokesperson, the same alien who had greeted him before. Varen's voice echoed clearly throughout the hall. "Welcome, representatives of humanity and all other species. For many cycles, our galaxy has known war and conflict, but today, we offer a new path, a treaty of peace, cooperation, and progress." As Varen spoke, holographic images floated in the air. They showed scenes of trade ships, peaceful planets, and advanced technology shared among species. The crowd watched quietly, some nodding in approval. Admiral noticed some species whispering to each other, their faces uneasy. He understood their worries. The council was very powerful. What if this peace was only a way to control others? After the speech, other council members spoke about the treaty's benefits. Trade routes would open, technology would be shared, and no species would have to fear attacks from another. The idea of peace was hopeful and exciting. But when Varin finished, he added a warning. This peace requires trust and respect for the council's laws. All members must follow the rules. To keep the galaxy safe and strong, Admiral felt a cold shiver. What rules? How much freedom would they really have? He glanced at his crew. Some faces showed hope, but his own heart was full of doubt. The meeting ended, and representatives were invited to discuss the treaty in smaller groups. Admiral stayed close to his chief advisor, Commander Rowe. "Captain," Rowe said quietly, "the council's words are beautiful, but we must understand the details. This could change everything." Admiral nodded. "Yes, we need to study the treaty carefully. The peace might be real, or it might be a trap." The crew returned to the Resolute for a private discussion. The ship's legal officer brought the treaty documents. The pages were thick and filled with complex language. Admiral and his team worked through the night, reading every line. At first, the treaty seemed good. It promised protection for human worlds and chances to learn from other species. But as they read further, hidden conditions appeared. The treaty limited where humans could build new colonies. Some valuable planets were off-limits, reserved only for council members. The human military had to reduce their ships and weapons. They must share information about their defenses with the council. Any new technology created by humans would have to be shared with the council for review. Commander Rowe frowned. This is not peace. This is control. The Council wants to keep us weak. Admiral felt the weight of the truth. If humanity accepted this treaty, they would lose much of their freedom. The Council would rule over them not as friends, but as masters. The next day, the Resolute returned to the Council Hall. Admiral requested a chance to speak before the full assembly. When the time came, Admiral stepped forward. His voice was clear and strong. Honorable Council members, humanity is grateful for the offer of peace, but we cannot accept conditions that limit our growth and take away our freedom. Gasps and murmurs filled the hall. Some Council members looked surprised. Others stared coldly. Admiral continued, "Peace must mean respect and equality, not control and rules that make one people weaker. We ask for true partnership, not submission." Baron stood up. His voice was calm but firm. "Captain Admiral, the Council's rules are made to protect all members. Without them, chaos and war would return." Admiral shook his head. "Then let us find new rules that protect all without taking away freedom. We are ready to talk and build real peace together." The assembly fell silent. For the first time, some species whispered their agreement with Admiral's words. Back on the Resolute, the crew felt hope. Admiral had spoken their fears and hopes clearly. The road ahead would be difficult, but they were not alone. As the ship left the Council station, Admiral looked out at the stars. The offer of peace was real, but the struggle to keep freedom and dignity had only just begun. Captain Admiral sat at the large table in the Resolute's conference room. Around him were his closest officers, Commander Rowe, Lieutenant Mira, and the ship's legal expert, Jalen. The mood was serious. They had just returned from the Galactic Council station, and now it was time to study the peace treaty more carefully. Jalen spread the thick treaty documents across the table. The pages were full of legal terms and complex language. "I've read many treaties in my career," Jalen said slowly, "but this one is different. The words hide more than they show." Admiral nodded. "That is what I feared. At first, it sounds good. Peace, cooperation, protection. But what are the real costs?" The legal expert pointed to a section near the middle of the treaty. "Look here. It says that humanity must limit its military forces to a fraction of what we currently have. No new warships can be built without Council approval. That means we lose control of our defense." Mira frowned. "How can we protect ourselves if we cannot build our own ships?" "And that's not all," Jalen continued. "This clause states that any new technology humans develop, especially related to weapons or space travel, must be shared with the Council. They can study it and decide if it is safe." Admiral's jaw tightened. "So they want to know our secrets. That could put us at a disadvantage." Commander Rowe leaned forward. "It goes further. The treaty limits where humans can build colonies. Certain star systems are marked as Council-exclusive zones. We cannot settle there, even if those worlds are good for us." Admiral stood up and walked slowly around the room. "They want to keep us small, controlled, and dependent." Mira shook her head. "But what if we refuse? Could it lead to war?" Admiral's eyes were hard. "If we sign, we lose our freedom. If we refuse, we may face their force. But I will not let humanity be chained by false peace." Jalen added, "There is one more thing. The treaty requires us to allow Council observers to be stationed on human planets. They will watch our governments and military. We would be under constant surveillance." The room grew quiet. This was not peace. It was control. Admiral looked at each of his officers. "We must tell the Earth leaders the truth. The Council's offer is not a gift. It's a trap." Over the next few days, Admiral met with diplomats and Earth government officials via secure communication channels. Many hoped to accept the treaty. The years of conflict had made people tired. The promise of peace and prosperity was attractive, but Admiral was firm. "We must be careful. If we accept this treaty as it is, humanity becomes a vassal, not a partner." Some officials argued back. "War would be worse. We need peace now." Admiral answered, "Peace with chains is not peace at all. True peace must come with respect and freedom." Meanwhile, the crew of the Resolute worked hard. Scientists studied the technology the Council had offered. Soldiers trained for defense just in case. Admiral ordered the ship to be ready for anything. One night, as Admiral looked out at the stars from the ship's observation deck, Lieutenant Mira joined him. "Captain," she said softly, "do you think we can really change the Council's mind?" Admiral smiled faintly. "I don't know, but we have to try. Humanity's future depends on it." The stars twinkled quietly in the vast darkness of space. The peaceful galaxy offered many promises, but only those brave enough to face the truth could grasp them. Captain Admiral sat in the command room of the Resolute, staring at the holoscreen that displayed the Galactic Council's headquarters. The peaceful offer of the Council weighed heavily on his mind. The treaty was not what it seemed. It threatened humanity's freedom, and he knew he had to act fast. The Resolute had returned to Earth orbit. The Council's peace offer was being discussed everywhere, in governments, news stations, and public forums. Many people wanted to accept it. They dreamed of new technology, better trade, and no more war. But Admiral could not keep quiet. He called a meeting with Earth's highest leaders via secure video link. The Great Hall was filled with the faces of politicians, generals, and diplomats. Admiral's image appeared large and clear. "Leaders of Earth," Admiral began. "The Galactic Council's offer of peace is not the gift it appears to be. The treaty contains strict rules that will limit our growth, reduce our military power, and place us under constant watch." He paused, letting his words sink in. "If we accept this treaty, humanity will lose its freedom and become little more than a puppet of the Council. We must not give up our independence for false peace." Some leaders looked surprised, others skeptical. One elder diplomat said, "Captain Admiral, the Council has brought peace to many worlds. They do not seek to control us, but to protect all." Admiral shook his head firmly. "Their peace comes with chains. The restrictions on our military and colonies are designed to keep us weak, and their demand for constant surveillance is a violation of our sovereignty." A younger politician added, "But war would be worse. Can we face the Council alone?" Admiral's eyes burned with determination. "We are not alone. Other species share our concerns. I have met with representatives who also fear the Council's control. We must unite with them." After the meeting, Admiral contacted alien diplomats he had met at the Council station. Some were willing to listen, others cautious. But a few shared his fears and agreed that the Council's peace was too costly. On the Resolute, Admiral and his officers planned how to spread the truth. They prepared reports, shared evidence of the treaty's hidden clauses, and warned Earth's population through secure networks. Not everyone believed them. Some thought Admiral was being too harsh or proud. Others feared conflict with the powerful Council. Still, many began to question the treaty and demand a full review. Meanwhile, Council officials tried to calm the situation. They sent diplomats to reassure Earth's leaders, promising fairness and goodwill. But Admiral was not fooled. One evening, as Admiral walked through the ship's corridors, Lieutenant Mira joined him. "Captain, the public opinion is divided," she said. "Many want peace at any cost, but more are listening to your warnings." Admiral nodded slowly. "That is good. We must keep the truth alive. Freedom is worth the fight." At the same time, the Council increased its pressure. Messages from their officials became sterner. They demanded that Earth sign the treaty soon or face consequences. Admiral gathered his crew. "We will not be pushed into a corner. We must stand firm for humanity's future." The Resolute moved back toward the Council station, not as visitors, but as equals ready to negotiate. Admiral knew the road ahead was dangerous. The Council had power, but humanity had something stronger: the will to be free. As stars passed silently outside, Admiral felt a deep hope growing. The galaxy was watching. A new chapter was beginning. Captain Admiral stood on the bridge of the Resolute, his arms crossed behind his back. Before him the stars glowed softly, but his thoughts were sharp and focused. The ship was once again approaching the Galactic Council's home system. Not to surrender, but to challenge what they called peace. Beside him, Commander Rowe was reviewing long-range scans. "Multiple Council warships are holding formation near the station," he said. "They're watching us." Admiral gave a slow nod. "Let them watch. We are not here to fight, but we won't bow." Behind them, the crew worked silently but with strong purpose. They knew what was at stake. Earth had not signed the treaty. Thanks to Admiral's warning, many leaders were now cautious. Still, the Council had issued a final notice: join soon, or be isolated. But humanity was not alone anymore. In the days before their return, Admiral had worked hard to build an alliance. He contacted species who shared doubts about the Council. Some had small colonies taken over by Council rules. Others had lost their own traditions after signing similar peace deals. One by one, a few brave species responded. A fleet of ships joined the Resolute in deep space. They were not strong in number, but they came with courage. The Arvans, a peaceful race of scholars, had technology and data sharing. The Torvians, a proud warrior race, brought 2 strong cruisers. And the Rethari, small but clever, came with stealth ships and intelligence records. Admiral called them together in a shared channel. His face appeared across their bridges. "My friends," he began, "we were all promised peace. But what we were offered was quiet control. We are here not to start war, but to say no to silence." The leaders nodded. Some looked nervous, but others were ready. The fleet moved as one, a symbol of unity. They sent a shared message to the Council. "We request an emergency assembly," Admiral's voice said. "We do not accept the current treaty. We request open negotiation, one that respects the freedom of all species." The Council responded quickly, but not with kindness. Council warships blocked the path toward the main station. A cold voice came through the channel from a Council general named Sareth. "You return not as guests, but as troublemakers. This alliance threatens the balance we work to build." Admiral stepped forward to respond. "We are not here to break peace. We are here to build real peace, with truth and fairness." Sareth's face stayed calm. "You are warned. If you move closer, you will face the consequences." For a moment, silence filled space. Then, without warning, one of the Council ships fired a warning shot near the Allied fleet. No damage, but a message was sent. Commander Rowe stood up. "They're trying to scare us." Admiral didn't flinch. "Hold position. Do not fire unless fired upon. We are here for diplomacy, not war." On Earth, people watched in fear and hope. News channels showed the fleet floating before the Council's homeworld. Social media spread Admiral's speech like fire. Many began to see him as a voice of freedom across the stars. In the Council chamber, pressure was rising. Some members, especially those from weaker species, began to question the leadership. The Council had always claimed to bring unity, but now they stood against a peaceful alliance that simply asked for fairness. A small group within the Council requested a new meeting. Varen, the tall alien who had first spoken to Admiral, agreed reluctantly. "This could damage everything," Varen warned. "But perhaps it is time to listen." The emergency meeting was arranged. Admiral, along with the leaders of the Arvans, Torvians, and Rethari, entered the Grand Hall once again. This time they did not come with curiosity. They came with purpose. Varen welcomed them with a measured voice. "Captain Admiral, your actions are dangerous. You bring unrest." Admiral answered calmly. "No, I bring a chance. Peace built on fear is not peace. If you truly seek unity, let all voices be heard, without hidden chains." There was silence in the room. Then, a Rethari speaker added, "You promised safety, but our cultures were weakened." The Torvian general stood and said, "We followed your rules, but you made us depend on you. That is not strength." One by one, voices rose. Some council members tried to interrupt. Others listened. A few left the chamber, unsure which side to support. At the end of the meeting, Admiral stood again. "We do not want war," he said, but we will not sign away our future. If peace is real, then you must listen to us. If not, then we walk alone, but proud." The chamber was still. Then Varane spoke. "We will review the treaty. A new council will study your concerns. You will not be attacked while this process continues." The stand had worked. For now. Back on the Resolute, the crew cheered quietly. No battles, no shots fired, but a strong message sent. Commander Rowe stood beside Admiral. "You did it, sir. You made them listen." Admiral's voice was calm. "This is just the beginning. Real peace takes time, but today we held the line. And in the vast galaxy, many who had never heard of Earth now knew the name of Captain Admiral, a leader who read the fine print and refused to be ruled by it." Captain Admiral stood on the bridge of the Resolute once again. The stars outside seemed quieter now, but the galaxy had changed. The last weeks had been difficult and full of tension. The Galactic Council had agreed to review the treaty and listen to the concerns of humanity and its new allies. Inside the Council's Great Hall, new voices had joined the discussion. Representatives from many worlds, once silent or afraid, now spoke openly. They shared stories of lost freedom, broken promises, and hidden rules that had controlled their lives. Admiral watched the holographic meeting with interest. Varen, the chief council member, looked tired but serious. "The council must change," Varen said. "We see now that peace without freedom is no peace at all." The new council had formed committees to rewrite the treaty. This time, every species had a voice, and none were forced to give up their rights or independence. Admiral felt hope. It was not perfect, but it was a start. On the Resolute, the crew celebrated quietly. Lieutenant Mira smiled and said, "We did it, Captain. We helped change the galaxy." Admiral nodded. "Yes, but the real work begins now. We must build trust, not just fight for it." One day, a message arrived from Earth's leaders. They thanked Admiral and his crew for their courage and wisdom. "You showed us how to stand for freedom and peace," the message said. "We will continue to work for a better future, one with true respect among all species." Admiral looked at the stars again. He thought of the long journey ahead. There would be challenges, new threats, and many who still wanted control over others. But humanity was ready. The alliance with other species had grown stronger. Trade routes opened with respect and fairness. New technologies were shared carefully, with attention to security and cooperation. Human ships returned to exploring the stars, free to build new colonies where they chose. Captain Admiral knew this was just the beginning of a new era. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and dangers alike. But now more than ever, there was hope for true peace. One evening, as the Resolute sailed through a calm starfield, Mira joined Admiral on the observation deck. "Captain," she said quietly, "do you think the Council will keep its promises?" Admiral smiled gently. "Some will, some won't. But now we have a voice that cannot be ignored. We will watch carefully and act when needed." Mira nodded. "And humanity will be ready." Admiral turned his gaze back to the stars. "Yes, Mira. The galaxy is ours to explore, to protect, and to change for the better." The stars shimmered like diamonds against the black sky. The future was uncertain, but it was theirs. Captain Admiral took a deep breath. The day the Deathworlders stopped playing fair had passed, and a new legend was born. A legend of courage, truth, and the unbreakable will of those who refuse to be ruled by false peace.